everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my studio. Today we're going to paint a peacock. This is a peacock which I painted a while ago, which is on my website as a print, and I thought we would have a go at doing this today. It will help you practice things like mixing colours on the paper and so on and so forth, control of colours. So I've done myself a sketch which I've copied from there. If you want to download the sketch, you can get it from my website if you go to dianeantone.com, and I've drawn it in watercolour pencil, which is my new favourite thing for doing sketches in. It means you can see it as well, I think, probably, but it does mean that when I paint over it the lines disappear and I'm not left with lots of graphite to rub out afterwards. So I've started with that. I might be using gold and silver ink at the end to highlight some of the feathers on the peacock, and otherwise I'm just using a piece of watercolour paper. Doesn't matter what, anything will do as long as it's a good quality and says on the front for watercolour. And I've got two brushes here, an 11 round and a 5 round nylon round brushes, good quality ones, and I'll probably be using those for everything. The colours I'm using will be violet, blue and green, mostly in different combinations, and perhaps a touch of pink. And I'll put those colours named in the description underneath the video. So let's get started. I always start with the eye, so that's where I have to just dive away from my palette that I just mentioned and pick up a little bit of black. And then I'm just going to basically just draw a circle, leaving a highlight like that. And that's the eye, and already you can start to see the character of the bird. Now, we're starting at the top, and here he has a dark area above his eye. We might actually need a little bit of black. I'm just going to drop a bit of black in there. And then his beak comes down here like that. So we'll just basically just very slightly indicate that. And now I'm going to switch to my slightly larger brush. I'm going to pick up my number 11, and I'm going for cobalt blue as my base colour for the bird. And starting under his chin, I'm just going to drag down a blue wash. Just here where I've indicated some shadow, just going to go over that. And so I'm going to more or less put blue all the way down to here, and I'm going to leave an irregular edge just there, just dragging out a few touches of colour. And then we're going to switch to green, and coming up here, just randomly dashing the green in, maybe a little bit of yellow here, and a little bit more green up here. And then I've got some indigo, which is a sort of greyish blue. So we'll pop a little bit of that up there, and maybe a little bit more mauve. And then back to the green, coming down here, keeping it all very light and fluid. And then some more of the violet, breaking up the edges here so that they're very light, fluid, and so on. Okay. It's one flower, oh, it's not a flower, a feather there. Okay, so now I'm going back to the violet. I'm working wet in wet. I'm going to drop some strong colour in around his chin. Slow down a little bit at this point, and then a bit more down here, and we're hoping it's going to run nicely, and then just here. And then just clean off my brush. So what we want is a nice blending. And as we know, the colours always dry much lighter than they appear. And this is a bit more, it's a light indigo, this indigo colour. Okay, so that's the first coat, and at this point we stop and we wait for it to dry. Okay, so the first stage is now dry, so I'm going to come in with the colours for these feathers on the tail, which if we refer back to our original painting, is these. They're a mixture of blues and indigo and purple, and then when they're dry they have a touch of gold ink added to them. So I've marked on here roughly where they need to go, and I'm going to start with greenish blue, so just dropping it in loosely like that. The ones which are further away are a little bit smaller. And we don't want to take too long over this, because obviously it will dry. So that's the green, and then we want some indigo, which is going to go around the edge, and that's going to be allowed to dry. Could call this Essence of Peacock. And then we want a bit of violet or purple or mauve or whatever, which is basically going to go like that. And then we'll let that run. And then we want to just do something similar up here on the crown of the peacock, and again down here we've got this one odd feather. Let's drop those colours in there, and then we're going to just drag down from those bits, and then maybe we might drop a few dashes of black in there like that, and then that brings us back, well, this one too can go like this with this watercolour pencil, and then here I'm going to drag down, so indicating the I don't know, what do you call it? You call it a stalk in a plant, but what do you call it? A quill. Quill, that's it. There we are. And then we've got, in the original I had a little bit of yellow, which I kind of just dragged between just to let it run a bit. So just let that happen, and then so this now needs to dry, and I'm going to now come back to the head. Darken that, and I'm going to darken under the chin as well a little bit. Okay, and now I'm going to grab my toothbrush and I'm going to pick up some blue, indigo-y blue, dark blue, phthalo blue, and I'm going to try it out first of all on a piece of sketch paper. Okay, that's all right. And then I'm going to spatter here fairly heavily and more lightly over there and up the top. And we could just drag a few of those strokes out, just a few like that. And then I'm going to let that dry and then we'll come back for the final stage. Okay, so now that's dry and some final touches. So just want to go over the watercolour pencil on top of the head here to give a little bit more shading and maybe just break that line a little bit there so it's not quite so so sharp. There we are, so that will do for that. And I think we need a little bit more purple, perhaps, in these shapes. You never quite know how they're going to turn out because you do want to let them run. You want them to look a bit like the eyes on the tail of the peacock, but without being too definite. So something like that. And then I think I'm just going to put a sort of scruffy one in here in this space. And then with the slightly bigger brush, pick up some very light indigo, and I'm going to just drop some indigo or cobalt blue. Just drop some kind of random splotches in here, going up into this area, body of the bird, and a few more, perhaps a little bit more lilac-y up here. There we are, and I'm going to put a little dash more blue here, and then this bit underneath here in the original was quite dark, makes a good focal point. There's a bit of darkness there as well, so let's just make that run. There we are, that will dry, and I think I'm going to just do a little bit more spatter now it's dry. Be careful not to do too much. So that's that, and then I'm not sure if I'm going to have to let it dry again before I can do the gold and silver. The gold, I think I'll just use gold to check that this pen still works. Oh yes, this is a gold, what is it? It's a hybrid gel gold pen. Not quite sure what that is, so I'm just going to do some sort of random lines going in the feathers. Maybe, I don't know, a little bit up here. And there we are. It's finished. That was the original. And that's the one we've just done together. Pretty close. It's not quite dry yet, but I think when that's dry, that will be okay. So I'll say goodbye for now. I'll just add a little bit more gold. Get quite addicted to that. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Have a go. The sketch, if you want to download it, is on dianeantone.com, free of charge. Just pop over there and look for the free downloads, and you can just print that out along with about 50 other sketches that you might want to use. So I'll say goodbye for now, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye bye everybody. Bye.